Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our trading room, to our Tuesday morning trading room. All right, just a moment. Okay, before we get into trading today, I had some interesting questions from Moen. He's struggling a little bit with getting his charts set up, so we're just going to take a few minutes here during opening range and try to resolve these problems. Now, a lot of people get excited because their charts may not look exactly like mine. If you're trading ETFs instead of the futures, you can see I'm trading the NASDAQ futures here. You may have to adjust your settings a little bit, or if you're trading a different market entirely, you may have to adjust your settings. The starting point is always the default settings. And it isn't necessary that your charts look exactly like mine. What is important is that you have a good balance of signals given the time frame and that you can afford to take the trades. So let me address each of these 3 points. So first and foremost, the signals. You want to take a look at a signal and you want to see, was there some follow through on that signal? Was I able to at least reach my high probability profit objective, which for most trades for the Raptor will be $100 per contract. That's kind of our sweet spot. Not every trade will be successful, but you want to be able to take those trades with a reasonable amount of certainty. So for instance, we had a number 1 signal. It looks like it went up, hit our profit target, and then reversed. Here's another number 1 signal, gave you a little bit of pullback, followed by a number 3 signal. Both of those went up, hit their profit targets. You also want to be able to produce enough signals in the day that you can have a certain amount of signals to take advantage of. You don't just want to produce 1 or 2 signals a day, because that's going to be impossible to trade. You're going to be sitting there all day waiting for 1 signal. You end up, go to the kitchen, get a cup of coffee, you come back, you missed your signal after waiting there all day. So you want a reasonable amount of signals. You want a reasonable amount of follow through on most of the signals. Now, like I said, not every single signal will be a winner. Here, for instance, is a number 3 signal that did not work out. But there are certain things that we look for as well. For instance, here we would have already had the number 2 signals going against us. We would have already had a rather broad trading band. There were some things that would have made us suspect that perhaps this number 3 signal deserved an alternate strategy, maybe a second push entry, maybe wait for it to break the trend line, something to tip us off that maybe the buyers were serious rather than just hopping on board when the signal prints. Now, these are some of the things that you're going to become more familiar with as you use the software. All right, and it's a turnkey program, but it still requires you to learn how to use it, if that makes sense. The other thing you want is you want to pay attention here to your timestamp. You don't want your timestamp printing as it is down here. You can see we had an excellent number 1 signal here developing at 1534, but look at what happened all through 1534. This exploded in the matter of a few seconds. In fact, you can see 9 seconds, we had about 10 bars print, and then every second we had another 4 or 5 or more bars print. That's impossible to trade. So while it looks good in hindsight, it would have been very, very difficult or even impossible to take any follow-up signal if in fact you were even able to get this number one signal. It looks like it all exploded, started right here. There was no way you could even, enter a trade. It was just moving too fast. So you need to reach that balance in your settings, and that's why you can go to your data series to adjust your brick size, and as well to your indicators to adjust the cloud sizes and the programming sizes. Now, I spoke about the data series yesterday, that the defaults for the Raptor is an 8-tick brick. Again, this is on the futures. If you're using an ETF, you may, I think Moen said he put a 0 on it because because it's trading differently, he moved it to 80 ticks. Okay, that's fine. That will work. Again, providing you get a decent number of signals and that they're not unfolding too quickly and they're not requiring you to leave too much risk in order to take the trade, then that's fine. Let's take a look here at the Raptor itself. And all the settings are the defaults that I use, but I just want to show you here the relationship of the clouds to your brick size. If you start to change your brick size, say you choose to move it from 8 to 10, you're going to need to adjust your cloud sizes as well. Now, I think what Moen did was he moved, because he put a 0 and went from 8 ticks to 80 ticks, he just put zeros on the back of his cloud sizes, and that's perfectly fine. Don't forget to change your Hawk brick size as well. But here's the relationship between the Raptor programming and your brick size. Let's do the fast cloud first. So cloud number 2 is equal to your brick size. Now, you'll see that Ben actually programmed it to be 6 and 8. Again, we're splitting hairs. 2 ticks, not going to matter. But these values here, if I were to change my brick size, I would make these values here the same as my brick size. So let's say I went and I changed my brick size to 10 ticks, I would change this to 10 ticks. Cloud number 1, the slower cloud, is 1.5 times your brick size. So I would change it to 15. If my brick size is 10, 1.5 times 10 is 15. Your Hawk brick size down here is 75%, 0.75 of your brick size. So if my brick size is 10, well, I can't change it to 7.5, so I either need to change it to 7 or to 8. And again, 1 tick, it isn't really going to matter that much. So feel free to play with it. But once you've made those changes, what you want to do is you want to go through your charts and you want to see how are the signals performing. And when I'm getting a signal, am I getting some follow through? Now these signals, well, I did get some follow through, but I wouldn't pay that much attention to them because it's 5 minutes into the close. It's not a time I would trade. The market is unpredictable anyways. I would ignore it. But I would take a look at some of the other signals and I would say, okay, am I getting decent follow through on the signals? If not, I need to figure out why. Am I producing too many signals? That's always a telltale. If I'm producing too many signals, then my brick size is probably too small. Bigger brick sizes will produce fewer signals. Smaller brick sizes will produce more signals. And remember, we're not after more signals because we're not making more money by trading more often. Now, let me show you an example here. Moen also asked why I don't feature the Forex markets. So let's make a Forex chart here. And we'll do the Euro US dollar pair. And I'll show you how I do this. Okay, so here's the Euro US dollar. And I'm going to put my template on. So once you have your charts set up the way you like them, save it as a template so it's easy to load. Okay, sorry, I'm all twisted up here with my headset. Okay. So here's the Euro US dollar pair. And it looks like, and again, these are just the default settings. And I'm getting, signals, really good follow through. Oh, here I should go back to the native time zone. So let me roll here back a bit around the London Open. And you can see I'm getting about, what am I up to? About 6, 7 screens in width already. So more than enough signals. Okay, so the market opens about midnight my time. And allowing for a few minutes of opening range. Okay, let's start taking a look at the signals. Okay, here's a number 2 signal. I wouldn't be a big fan of that anyways. Here's a number 1 signal. Looks like it's okay, number 1 signal. Let's see what kind of follow through there would be on the number 1 signal. Okay, well that worked out really well. Brought us in a little bit of heat. Can I cover these kinds of positions? Let's take a look here at the current market, what my stops would be like. Yeah, it looks like I could. My stop loss is up here. It looks like I'd be able to cover most of those kinds of trades. Don't forget, you can also set your stop if you just want to have a certain value. Say you want to run a 30 tick stop or pip stop, because we're doing the Forex market now. And you can watch how the market is unfolding as well. Do the signals print too quickly? It looks like I got some time here to make up my mind. All right, let's go back here a little bit now and see how the euro is performing. Okay, so we had, where was I? Here we go. So we had this nice little move lower. Now, quite honestly, after a move like that, even if I was able to take more than my $100 out of it, well, certainly if I was able to take more than my $100 out of it, that might have been my move right there. I might have packed things up and gone to bed. But let's hang with it here. Let's see if we get another signal. Okay, there wasn't a reversal signal. You would have had to manually see that that was a number 2 signal. Okay, that's all right. Now we're going back and forth a little bit. You can see the cloud flip-flopping some. All right, we're going to get a number 1 signal. Because the cloud is flip-flopping, I would do a second push on the number 1. So let's see how this signal works out. If they come back down, okay, followed up with a number 3 signal. It looks like they're going to give it a go. All right, I'm in. Where would my stops be? Well, my initial stops would be up here. I try to keep my stops 2 swings back. And it looks like this would be an amount that I would be able to afford stop-wise. At this point, if I wasn't already at my profit objective, I would get my stops down to break even. But it looks like I'd be pretty close to my profit target. And, oh, well, at the very worst, it looks like I got tagged at break even. So that signal also not bad. Again, we're kind of back and forth here. So we got a little bit of a sideways range going on. And yet another number one signal. Maybe because it's a sideways range, maybe I'll wait for a breakout and a retest. Okay, there's the breakout, there's the retest. Let's see if I get a number three signal. No, not yet. See, what I'm doing is I'm taking the context into account, right? I'm looking at what's going on. Okay, now I've got the market seeming to hold the highs. And here's another number one signal. Bollinger Suite is in sync. Okay, let's say I try this number one signal. Stops would be above the highs right here. Profit target's probably somewhere down there. And boom, hit our $100 target. And now all of a sudden the market starts to react, which very often it does after hitting our high probability profit objective. And it looks from the timestamp that the market is unfolding at a fairly decent rate, something that I can probably keep a handle on. So in the case of the euro-US dollar pair, I would probably go with the defaults. But just for argument's sake, let's say I don't. Let's say, and we're going to wind this up, let's say we're going to go to 20. When you're playing with your brick sizes, it's to your advantage to go to extremes, because moving your brick size from 8 to 10, you're hardly going to notice the difference. Moving your brick size from 8 to 6 or 5, you're not going to notice that much of a difference, especially with as many signals as we seem to be producing with the defaults. So, you know, let's really jack it up. So I'm going to go to 20 ticks. And you're going to see that's going to make my Raptor look very unusual. Oh, actually not that unusual, but let's adjust the Raptor as well. Now, remember I said Raptor, there we go. Okay, so cloud number one is 1.5 times. One and a half times 20 is 30. So let's add 30. Cloud number two is the same as my brick, so that will be 20. Excuse me. And then cloud number three is going to be 3/4. It's going to be 0.75 of my 20 tick brick, so that's going to be 15. Did I change my data series? Yeah, all right. All right, you can see everything looks normal, and by normal I mean we got nice smooth clouds and bars. Let's take a look at how the signals are performing now. So here's a number one signal followed by a number three signal. Great follow through on that. Let's go back here near the open was somewhere around here. Okay, no signals. So that was actually our first signal about 2 hours in, hour and a half in. And that had very good follow through. Followed a couple hours later by another signal, also with very good follow through. And you'd want to do this for a few days, right? You want to go back and you want to check it for a few days, because these trending days can be a little misleading at times. And it looks like at a 20 tick setting, you had maybe 2 signals for the session, but exceptional follow through on both. Before we leave it, let's just go back here another day and we'll try it again. Where are we? Okay, so here's the open, and we get a couple of buy signals off of the open. They go up. We get a counter trend signal. It goes down. We get another buy signal. It goes up. No problem hitting our $100 target. Not much more in that one. We do have a bit of a sideways drift going on, so I might be a little suspicious. Okay, where's that next sell signal? Because the clouds are stacked in a bearish way. Okay, so there's the next sell signal. Ooh, Bollinger Band is out of sync, but let's take a look at it anyways. Now, here's an instance where at 20 ticks, there's no way I could afford to keep my stop 2 swings back. So this is a situation where I would have to make a decision. I'm either going to run the tighter stop, or I'm going to skip the trade and wait for a better signal. At 20 ticks, your $100 target's probably right there. In fact, if you're running 20 ticks, you may want to shoot for a slightly bigger target, but at any rate. Okay, well, that one worked out. So, actually, that one worked out very well. Okay, so if I were trading the Euro-US dollar pair, I might even run 2 charts. I might run an 8-tick default Raptor, and I may even run a 20-tick chart because I'm getting exceptional follow through. Even though I'm getting fewer signals, you know, the moves that are showing up here are just wonderful, just fantastic. Look at this move here this morning. Now let's just again check the stop loss. Okay, you can see my stop loss is up here, and that's based on my risk percent and my profit target very, very nearby. So I probably would have to adjust my profit target just given the size of these moves, or even just go with a runner, because it looks like the euro, once it develops the signal, prints very, very well. Now, Moen also asked, why don't you feature you know, the euro, the NASDAQ, some other markets? I'm not a very good multitasker. There was a day where I would routinely follow 3 markets at the same time. Those days are gone. It's not that I can't concentrate on them, but I can't concentrate and teach and trade at the same time. So I focus on one market, the NASDAQ being my personal favorite. And it's a bit of a bias because I cut my teeth trading futures. I've always been a futures trader. People, they show me stock charts, and I'm trying to get into stocks. There's huge interest in stocks. I'm exploring penny stocks for you guys. It's a whole different creature. You know, there's a bit of a learning curve. Forex, I've dabbled. Forex, because of the commission structure where you're paying the spread, well, actually, that's all the more reason to try to run out a trade on the Forex, because the commissions on the spread sometimes can be brutal. So you definitely want to get a broker that keeps that spread as tight as possible. But it's not unusual to pay $40 commission on a Forex trade. Compare that with a $4 commission on a futures trade. Even with exchange fees and everything, you're paying maybe $10 on a trade. But the point I'm trying to make here is that even if your charts don't look exactly like mine, it doesn't matter. I could change my settings here on my Raptor and still produce signals. You know, I'm not going to dial it up to 20 because we're not going to get any signals here. But let's say for today, I'm going to run a 10-tick Raptor. Did that load already? That was, oh no, here we go. And you can see, you know, the signals, I'm producing too many signals. The charts look a little bit more like my grandson's Minecraft game. So I'm going to go through my indicators and I'm going to adjust my indicators. And we'll make that a 15. We'll make this a 15. And then cloud number 2 is the same. So that'll be a 10 by 10. And I'll make this an 8, the hawk, because it's going to be 7.5. So we'll make it an 8. Okay, so I'm producing, am I still producing signals? Yes, I am. Oop, looks like I've got one too many Raptors on my chart. All right. Am I still producing signals? Yes, I am. Do I have, you know, a fair amount of signals to choose from? Yeah, it looks like it. Am I getting decent follow through on the signals? Yes, it appears to be so. So just for demonstration purposes, we'll run a Raptor today with a slightly different brick size than the defaults. Well, it looks like we just had a report release. Okay, Moen's asking, can you explain the Raptor filter numbers as well? Well, the Raptor filter numbers is the brick size that the filter is based on. So the Raptor filter, the Raptor filter is actually based on the Eagle. It's already up at 10 and 12 ticks, so I'll just leave it the way it is. Generally speaking, this is going to be the same as your brick size. And what it is it's more of a momentum style filter. The idea is that it shows you when the market is changing bias. And it does this by comparing the size of the bricks. So for instance, here we had a big blue block. The market was bullish, but oops, all of a sudden we got a little magenta block creeping in. That was balanced out by a blue block, which was balanced out by a magenta block. So at this stage, it looks like the market is fairly evenly balanced. The bulls and the bears both showing about the same amount of momentum. But then we come back with a big blue block. So at that, well, here, let's unwind it like it's real time. Okay, big blue block. At this point, I would say, okay, the market's still bullish because of this blue block outweighing this red block beside it. And now we're seeing more of a magenta block. All right, a little bit of buying coming back. All right, again, they seem fairly evenly balanced, and that's what we're seeing, right? If you look at your chart, you can see the market's very, very balanced. There's no real bias one way or the other. And again, we're more or less even. Don't try to, take a ruler to this and measure it. And you can see the momentum shifting faster and faster. And that's, again, what we see. The trading band is starting to twist up like a rope. It looks like a piece of barbed wire. Actually, that's what traders call this. They call this barbed wire because, well, the obvious similarity to barbed wire. All right. And again, we're still balanced. We're still back and forth. And now we get a small blue block, but now look what happens. We're starting to get a bigger red block relative to the blue. The blue momentum was very weak, and now we're starting to get a bigger red block relative to the blue. These all previously were more or less balanced with each other. But now we're starting to get a little bit lopsided. This will make me a little bit more bearish. The Bollinger Suite confirming that. Okay, now I get a sell signal. And I've got a bigger red block relative to the blue. So I'll take a look to short that. It's going to be my number one signal as the clouds cross over. Okay, there's the number one signal. You can see again, a nice big red block or magenta block relative to the blue. And boom, down we go. We hit our profit target right about there. Okay, trade done. Thank you very much. So that's how you use your filter. And again, you can see lots of bearish momentum right now, and eventually there will be a little blue block creeping in. Wow, okay, well, that's a big blue block. And it's probably going to balance the market out a little bit. What we're probably going to see is the market perhaps moving a little bit sideways from here. But my whole point of taking the time to say that is that you don't need to be overly concerned if our charts aren't lining up 100%. Right? The programming still works. There's those benchmarks that you can check. Just make sure you have an adequate number of signals, adequate amount of follow through. And that you can leave yourself a reasonable stop. All right, let's take a look now. The market very, very strong last couple of days. We've breached this resistance zone. I wonder if that was the retest. That was a pretty quick little retest. I'm looking now at the breakout, waiting for the retest. So I would think the market's got to move back to 8,000 sooner or later. And given this morning's decline, maybe this is going to be the start of it. So the market doesn't look that impressive here on the Eagle, but out of the open made a little bit of a move lower. The overnight or the pre-market certainly a stronger move lower. And now the big push back Already have a sell signal here in the Falcon. I'm too late on this signal, but if I get a little bit of a hiccup on the Falcon, I'll look at using this bar as a second push. Oh, here's a hawk signal. Could get on board with the hawk. Oh, there they go, tumbling a bit. Good follow through on that trend change signal there on the Falcon. Oh, that's too bad. It was just a little bit late. Right back down to the lows of the morning. All right, well, if we call this a bit of a sideways range, wow, what a crazy move. No test of the extreme, no nothing, just boom, down she goes. That's wild. This is going to have a few traders chomping at the bit. The last Rabbit Hole Friday, we were talking a little bit about measured moves. Traders are going to be looking to see that move repeat right there. Next signal that prints here on my modified Raptor is going to be a #1 signal. I have a feeling with the faster, with the default settings, I probably produce a signal somewhere around here. That would have been the same time the Falcon signal was printing. All right, here's my #1 signal. Problem with this trade will be stop placement. Not so much direction, but stop placement. Because the market's probably going to make more of a reaction to this breakdown. Okay, get the stops to break even now. Hooray. Okay, well, nothing wrong with that. Oh, even a little bit extra. Well, the market does seem to be in a bit of a trending mood. If this was the retest and we do the measured move at this point, well, let's call it 81.79. That would be the target. But I'm okay taking my profit. Especially since it's starting to look like there might be a little bit more of a pushback now. Just out of curiosity, is there another resistance line down there? Oh yeah, look at that, 81.79 quarter. Okay, so chances are pretty good the market's going to try to retest this zone. Don't have a number 2 signal yet on the Raptor, or at least not on this Raptor. All right, we're getting a little bit of a test of the extreme now. And a possible number 2 signal may develop here. The trading band, very, very broad. We're up to 60 ticks. The Bollinger Suite, already bullish, which opens us up to the possibility of a short-term reversal. Emphasis on short-term. This would definitely be counter-trend, which I don't recommend. Counter-trend trades, you know, when I go through my trading journal, most of my losing trades are counter-trend trades. But a pullback does seem likely. Very, very short-term pullback. You could put your just-in-case order to short down here. If the bottom falls out of the market, the trend, remember, when you have a market that seems to be trending and it hits this little sideways pause, oh, there's my counter trend signal, and it hits a little sideways drift, right? So we have a trend, we've hit a little bit of a sideways pause. The market will very often have a tendency to resume that trend eventually. That's why when you recognize the pause, you can put your just in case order to short below there. All right, I think I can probably bring my stops up to break even. It's a counter trend trade. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive on the stops. Here, we'll save a couple extra ticks. Oh, why don't we squeeze it? Squeeze. Where's Ray Burke? I need him to push. Come on, one more tick, you guys. You know you want to. Hooray! 2 for 2. So again, you can see different settings on the Raptor, still getting tradable signals. This did not print as a number 2 just because it fell outside of the programming parameters. I can adjust that. I can adjust my soft edge parameters, but you should still be able to recognize the signals independent of the programming. Your number 1 signal prints when your clouds change direction. So they were bullish here, then they went bearish. There's a pullback, and then the resumption of the new trend that will produce a number 1 signal. A number 3 signal prints when there's, well, we had number 3 signals here, but number 3 signal is a trend continuation signal. So first you have to look and say, is there a trend to continue? No, not really. So I probably wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to those number 3 signals. But the number 3 signal occurs when there's a trend, a pullback to the hard edge, and then you produce your trend resumption signal. That's your number 3 signal. The number 2 signal produces when you have a trend. It's your counter trend signal. When you have a trend and then you have a pullback and the market tries to resume the trend, but it can't. And then it reverses, it will produce, once the parameters are right, it will produce a counter trend signal. That's what makes your number 2 signal. So you can see what happened here. We have a trend. The market pulls back, tries to resume the trend. It can't. We produce a buy signal. Like I said, the only reason that did not print a number 2 is there were probably a few too many bars here for the programming the way I have it set right now. But we still could recognize it as a counter trend trade. Big pullback. Oh, could even get more. Could even see it get up here to 82.20. Is there a resistance line around there? Yeah, 82.24 is primary support. That's that blue line. The gold line is your median line. generally speaking, if the market is below the gold line, it's going to be more bearish. If it's above the gold line, it's going to be more bullish. It is not stronger or weaker than any of the other lines. It just points out where the middle of the assortment is. Below is the primary support line. Above is the primary resistance line. These three lines kind of set the tone for the day. If the market breaks below the primary support line, it will have a tendency to move two zones. There's zone 1, there's zone 2. If the market's trending really strongly, it will make 3 zones. Likewise, if the market breaks above the primary resistance line, it will have a tendency to move 2 zones, zone 1, zone 2. And if the trend is very strong, it may make 3 zones. But you've got 21 lines to choose from, and only twice have I seen the market trade so strongly that it actually traded past your line assortment. So you usually have more than enough lines to see you through the trading day. Well, that's a very nice pullback, almost textbook. Stop placement is still going to be an issue here. We're going to produce a nice little green bar sell. Ideal stop placement is up here. Can't afford that. Might do a second push on the trade. The second push simply means I allow the signal to print. I see where the market reacts, and then I use that reactionary bar as my signal bar. But I've got more of a, well, I suppose you could call it a scalping mentality. I try not to get too greedy with the market. Right? There's that bulls, bears, pigs rule. Bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. So, like I said before, you really only need to find 1 or 2 or 3 winning trades in a day that you can correctly capitalize, and there's no limit to how much you can make. All right, getting a bit of a reverse going on. The hawk, pardon me, still full on bull. We have a 4-arrow consolidation here, actually, coming up with a nice little buy opportunity. The falcon going to produce a late filter entry signal. Even though we're out of sync here for a bar, I would still consider it a late filter entry. Actually, we produced the signal right there. I might look at doing a second push on this signal. So all that means is the signal's engaged. This is my reactionary bar. This now is going to be my signal bar. Oops, no, it's not, because the trend line has drifted and changed color. So we'll put that away for now. Well, there's that green bar sell signal I was talking about. It's going to be a tough one to cover. Give me just a little bit of a second push opportunity and I'll get all over shorting that. Well, I'm wondering, did I wait too long? Got a number 3 signal now. With this reactionary bar, that'll be my second push. It's looking like some of the momentum has faded. I'll be open to a buy signal. It'll be like a 2-3-2 signal. So if the market cannot go lower at this point, I will definitely be open to the possibility of a rally. There's the buy signal. All right, let's see what we got. So I can actually pull my exit order in because, well, if I didn't fill to the bullish side, I would welcome a sell. Here we go. We got a little bit of work to do here, but come on, get up there. And again, this, well, not quite as much a counter trend as the earlier signal, but still a counter trend. So I'm going to throw some trend lines underneath here to hold the market up so it can't get through. Maybe a couple of horizontal ones as well. Really make it like a beaver dam there. Oh, come on. All right. Last chance for the buyers to get their act together. So I'm going to start to trail here below anything with a tail to it. Hopefully I won't stop myself out too early. I think I have to move my my little beaver dam here a little bit closer. There. Move some of my trend lines over too. See, most people don't know this, but this is actually how trading is done. It's whoever can put the most lines on their charts. Come on, one more bar. This darn primary or secondary support line is holding things up or down. All right, there we go. I'll take my chances at break even now. Nice. Okay. Whew. Looks like I had enough lines on the chart to make it to my profit target. That's a little dicey given the counter trendness of the trade. But we're 3 for 3. And again, if you want to make more money, you trade more contracts, not more often. You got to train yourself to be looking for the best opportunities. I cannot stress that enough. And now they're kind of drifting again. All right, another signal off of the hard edge. Remember though, how I said, we go down, we hit the sideways, the tendency will be for the market to break down. So there's always that overtly bearish bias. Well, we're going to get a trend change signal here on the Falcon. We've already got a green bar sell here on the Hawk. Well, actually, I suppose we have a second push opportunity on this green bar sell on the Eagle as well. Our Raptor, our modified Raptor, no signal just yet, although you could call it an early trend change signal, an early number one, as the cloud's almost fully crossed. Gonna come back here now. Where's my sell signal? The Bollinger's sweet already in sync, which is encouraging. Don't know if we're going to get much follow through on this. The market's really gotten quiet. I bet you I have a Falcon signal already. Yeah, I do. Oh, a nice little late filter signal as well. And I've got the Eagle signal. Oh, well, you know what? We'll just stay here with the Raptor. We'll just hang with the Raptor for now. If you guys are looking for a trade to follow me on, I'm not sure this would be it. Still waiting on that signal. All right, let's see if there's enough in here. I have a feeling maybe, well, no, I won't even go there. I won't even speculate on what the market is doing. I got the signal, I got my reasons. They're thinking about it. Yeah, they're just not really committed at this point. I have a feeling the buyers are going to make a pushback. Next bearish bar, I'm going to really start to get my stops in tight. No, not going to give it to me. Stinkers. The overall trend is still down, but I got in too early. I should have looked at entering somewhere here toward the bottom end of the trading range rather than the middle of the trading range. Well, might have caught a break. Oh, they just keep holding the support there. Come on, you guys. I'm not liking, well, you know what? I was going to say I'm not liking the higher swings, but we're having higher or lower swings as well, right? We had a high here, we had a lower high. What's going on is stop it. We're doing this kind of nonsense now. And we're getting all constipated. Last chance. We're going to be closing up the room here shortly anyhow. But I have a feeling I'm going to get tagged out. Yeah, there they go. Look at that. They're going to bust this high, and that'll be enough to take me out. Stinkers. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to make it past that one. Oh well. All right. Okay, gang. That's enough fun for today. We'll do it all again tomorrow. If you are going to continue trading, I think the market is still inclined to head lower in spite of me getting tagged out. My stop may have been a touch too tight to try to ride out that swing. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.